Lions fans, welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 335. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your oft times dashing and now better than ever host Chris, and with me is my good friend and also mega gorgeous man, co-host Jeff the Riz. Rizin, how you doing, brother?
It is good to be with you on a Monday. We're doing the schedule a little bit different this week. We have some things going on in life outside of Lions football that today work better for both of us. So this is great.
Can we say it? Prime, proper, steaks, deliciousness. Now
I'm ready. I'm fasting now, so I can shove that tomahawk down my gullet later.
Yes. So just so everyone knows, we're getting together. Colin was the big winner on the St. Jude auction for the steak dinner with the crew. Sam Man, Riz, and I are all meeting with Colin. We're going down Prime Proper. We're going to have a grand time. He's a second-time winner on this. He enjoys this.
And we enjoyed the first one very much with Colin.
Yeah.
And I found out that Colin and I share a birthday, so that's even better.
Oh man.
September 17th in the house.
I'll see you at the wedding, buddy. In today's show, we got questions about the quarterback. We're going to pose questions to you guys in the audience, so you can line up on your phones and join us. Kenny Golladay blows the wide receiver market up. We'll talk about that. Jamal Williams, other comings and goings, NFL contracts. We'll make it easy for you. We got a peek at the draft and a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Riz, you ready to go, brother?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Let's get right into it. We'll start off with the question of the day. This is for you guys in the chat if you'd like to use it, or also for the folks if you'd like to join us on the phone. This is posted in the subreddit by Shipping Not Included. And I just found it a great question.
And you sprung it on me just before the show, and I hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, ooh,
provocative.
More provocative than a Farrah Fawcett poster circa 1977.
Ooh, man, you could hang your coat on those things. Okay,
yeah, you sure can.
A winter coat at that. Let's see.
Some fur.
Here's the question: would you consider Jared Goff a better Lions quarterback than Matthew Stafford if he wins a playoff game here? Okay, I'll get it one more time. Would you consider Jared Goff a better Lions quarterback than Matthew Stafford if he wins a playoff game here? I think that question was great because you know what I mean.
Are we judging? Yeah, it sort of frames where, what are you judging your successes by? Is it short-term success versus long-term sustained success, but the lack of the playoff wins? How much does one playoff win matter to you in the grand scheme of things? Does that mean that Eric Kramer is the best quarterback in Lions Super Bowl history because he
won?
He did. He's also, by the way, the Bears' best starting quarterback in their Super Bowl era. Jim McMahon won a Super Bowl for them. Maybe that's where you go with this.
Yeah.
Eric Kramer was statistically superior, but I think most Bears fans would tell you that Jim McMahon was the man.
Yeah.
I certainly would. Anybody who moons a helicopter gets thumbs up from me. I loved Jim McMahon. Yes, I was a Lions fan back then, so I do. But I lived in Indianapolis at the time when the Bears hit their big thing, 84 to 86. And the Colts were brand new there, so most people there were still Chicago Bears fans. It's not far away. Yep. So I was exposed to a ton of Bears stuff back then, and I always did like Jim McMahon. Never liked Mike Ditka, but I liked the fact that McMahon was his own dude and had this. But so he had success though. He was good for that team. Mm-hmm. Was he a good quarterback? I mean, he was the Andy Dalton of his era, but he had the style and panache and attitude that was the exact right fit for a defensive-oriented team with a megalomaniac as a head coach.
Can I just say that very well could be the situation we have with Jared Goff? Very similar.
Yes.
Different type of personality, right? So don't think about that. But the idea that the quarterback and the coaching staff and the rest of the team fit together so well, this very well could be the case with Goff, that it's just a better fit with the whole group of people.
So does that make him a better quarterback in the Lions pantheon? Because I think he'd be hard pressed to find anybody, even in Goff's own family, who will tell you that Jared Goff is a better NFL quarterback than Matthew Stafford.
Right.
And that's belying the fact that he has, in fact, taken a team to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
He has been to 2 Pro Bowls since the last time Stafford went to one.
Yeah.
You will not find me saying that Jared Goff is a superior quarterback in the NFL to Matthew Stafford at any point in my life. Even if Goff leads the Lions to 2 Super Bowl wins, I don't think he's a better quarterback. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's not a better quarterback for the Lions, though.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the differentiation and the fudging point comes in.
Well, let me bring in someone. What is it? Matthew Turner is playing the role of Case today. The whole fence rider here, right? And it's okay, Matthew, because you got a good answer, right? It's very pragmatic. It depends on the manner. If the coaching improves the team sufficiently and Goff doesn't carry the team to it, no. But if Goff is fundamental to it, then maybe. And I see what you're saying. You want to see Goff be one of the primary reasons for the success rather than just being a cog in a big wheel of wins.
I think it would be more specifically rising up and playing well in a playoff game. Matthew Stafford, 2 of his 3 playoff games, he did not play all that well. So Goff, for all of his faults, has been money in the playoffs. Now, he wasn't last year, but that they ran into a buzzsaw in Green Bay that just carved that defense apart.
Oof.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe if he does a game where he's like 31 for 40 for 410 yards and 4 touchdowns and a Lions 35-20 win over the we'll call them the Buccaneers in 2022.
Ooh.
Tom Brady.
Send Tom Brady into retirement on the heels of a loss to a perennial loser.
They will end Tom Brady's career. They'll fire him off into the pirate ship and launch him into the bay, and all the sarsaparilla fest or Gasparilla, whatever the hell it is, they can fish him out. Gasparilla.
Oh man, he might fly over my house. I know the B2 did after the flyover. It was crazy. Everything shook. It was like, what the f? Look up, and it's like I almost felt like I could reach out and touch it. It was so cool.
Man.
So cool. All right.
So quick diversion on that. When we lived in Houston, we lived right by the airfield where they landed the big planes, but also when the space shuttle came in, it flew on the back of a 740, a giant, it was bigger than a 747, and it landed and it flew over our house and wasn't more than probably 1,500 feet up in the air over our house, and it shook everything. Like car windows were rattling from parked cars. It was one of the loudest things I've ever experienced in my life. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
My kids both remember it. My daughter was only like 3 at the time. It's like made that much of an impression. So anything like that's an amazing experience.
Yeah, I just don't know how that plane flies. It's crazy.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's insane.
All right, so we got some good stuff here going on in the chat. Nice break from March Madness. Yeah, my brackets are all blown up, but I have to say, I did call Oral Roberts over Ohio State, and we'll talk about Miami, Ohio.
Bobcats play tonight.
I called Oral Roberts in the Slack. I did straight up, said book it, right? And nobody listened, including me. I didn't put it in my brackets. That one got broken. But I never expected a second win out of them. That's just insane. So always March Madness is fun. Your Ohio boys have played out of their shoes. This is really something.
It's great. And I actually had a couple of classes with the head coach Jeff Bowles back in the day.
Really?
So yeah, it's exciting. He was a good student. He was part of the Gary Trent Shack of the Mac teams of the mid '90s that were my era.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. We were really good back then. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that tonight. So that's gonna be on my docket. But yeah, so I got this question rattling in my head.
Okay.
And I can't because I'm going to try to be consistent here, because I do not think that Matthew Stafford deserves the blame for why the Lions have not been successful.
I agree.
Overall, has he been at his best when the team has needed him every time, though? Specifically, we'll go back to the New Orleans playoff game. He was not good that game.
Yeah.
The Dallas game, yes, the officials had some issues in that game. Yes, Sam Martin had a very bad day to have his worst day of his career. Stafford left some throws on the field that day too.
Yeah.
And if Goff can be more clutch, I don't know, man.
It right there. That's going to be the differentiator. Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback, no question. But you're right.
Absolutely.
There's been times. There's been games like that were not even, clutch games where he just didn't kind of show up, right?
Right. He'll start out 1 for 5, and have 2 quick 3-and-outs, and the team falls behind, 10-3 or whatever.
Consistently in that year.
halftime, and
of comebacks.
That happened more than it needed to.
And that year
with
of
Stafford.
comebacks.
It really did.
Right? What was it, 2018, 2017, when they had all those comebacks in the fourth quarter led by Stafford?
Yeah.
They were in that position because the first half, he just was not completing passes. He just could not
And
execute.
again, that's not all on him. But he did
Sure.
he did need to be better. I'll use the old line that I used to do with Sean Belegian all the time on the radio. Is Matthew Stafford good? Yes. Can he be better? Yes. Does he need to be better for the Lions to be better? Yes.
And
and to his credit, I do think, since the times that I used to talk to Sean all the time, hi Sean, he did get better. But there was the team around him last year. I think we all will agree that the defense was a much bigger problem than the offense, specifically the last couple of years. So I'll give Stafford the pass on that, and I think the fact that he accomplished what he did is kind of remarkable. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
No, I think we had just a little bit delayed. That's okay. I think that part of the issue too is, and that's why I don't want to make it all around Stafford. The team they surrounded him with, number one, it made him look a lot better because he just was so exceptional compared to the talent around him, right? So he just looked like so much of a better superstar kind of player, and it exacerbated how bad everyone looked because the gap was so huge. But that's the other part of it is they were so bad. The players around him were so bad that they couldn't help him carry the day. It literally was all on Matthew Stafford to make it work.
For far too many times, far too long.
And nobody is perfect, right? I think with an average team around him, he could have looked even better than what he was, and he was just never given the weapons or surrounded by a team good enough to.
Yeah, he never had a complete team like the was that the 12 team, the first playoff team with Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
Or was that 11 or 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, that team had a phenomenal defense. They were good at taking the ball away. They only really had one wide receiver. They relied on, I think Brandon Prediger caught 90 balls that year.
Yeah.
So never had the run game. That was when the offensive line was in a bit of transition. That was at the end of Backus and Raiola, who everybody hated, even though they were really good. And that was when Stafford wasn't ready to be that guy yet. I think once he got ready to be that guy was the Caldwell era specifically is the time that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team wasn't there with it. There were times where they were good, but there just wasn't enough consistency out of Stafford and the team around him to ever achieve that kind of success. Now you look at what Jared Goff has accomplished in Los Angeles. Is he's the reason why they went to the Super Bowl? No, he's not. They had a very good supporting cast around him. They had Todd Gurley at running back before his knees completely gave out. They had Aaron Donald, the best defensive player of this century, right with J.J. Watt, keying everything. They had a smartly assembled defense around Donald, built around it. It was a good team. And he was good enough to lead a good team.
I don't think they make the Super Bowl with Andy Donald or Andy Dalton, though.
No,
you know what I mean?
They don't.
He was an important cog in a set of important wheels,
and he played really well in the game where they beat. It was New Orleans. Yeah, they beat New Orleans after New Orleans beat Minnesota with the bad call.
Mm-hmm.
Goff played phenomenal in that game, and the NFC Championship game that year.
Yep.
And that's better than Stafford has ever played in a playoff game. Now, does that mean that Jared Goff is better than Matthew Stafford? No.
Small sample size.
Right. Yeah. You're looking at, but if you're judging this, if you're somebody who's like, there's no success without winning in the playoffs, then you're probably going to answer that yes, one playoff win would get Goff to be better than Stafford. I will disagree with you, but I understand the context at which you're coming at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that because I'll go back to Cleveland for a second. That means that Bernie Kosar is better than Brian Sipe, and I'm going to have a problem with that because we'll go way back. Brian Sipe was the man when I was a kid. He was the quarterback for the Browns from 78 through 84 before he left for the USFL.
I thought you grew up with Otto Graham.
No, no. Otto Graham is the best quarterback. Otto Graham is the greatest winner in NFL history.
Yep.
Played for the title. All 10 years he played, won 7 of them.
You know, it's funny. Sorry, I just hate. You talk about reaching deep in the bag for Otto, right? But I was thinking about this last week. How many people listening to the show right now don't know what it's like for the Lions to actually have won a playoff game. Have never experienced it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Probably, it's crazy, isn't it? It really is.
I kind of, it explains so much that I hadn't thought, because it's an amazing feeling. I'll tell you, it is an absolutely amazing feeling.
But do you think that there's a different thirst for those fans because they've never got to drink from the Victory Cup?
Yeah, I think there is, but I also think there's a little bit of an education opportunity there. And we got Wayne on the line all the time, but I'm talking with a couple of other guys that helped engineer that playoff win to see if we could get a little bit of a reunion on the show. So this offseason, keep your ears perked up, guys. We'll bring back the players and some of the feeling from that 91 playoff win for you, just to kind of get you in the mindset. Maybe hope to carry you through this year and get you ready for 22. All right, so there it is. That's the question. Would you consider Jared Goff a better Lions quarterback than Matthew Stafford if he wins a playoff game? You can hit us in the chat with your answer, or if you want to give us a call, it's 248-782-8384, 248-782-8384, and give us a ring, and we'll put you on, and we'll talk about it with you. All right, we saw in the chat, Delusional Lions fan wants us to trade for Kenny Golladay. Funny. We did trade Kenny Golladay, though, and that's some of the news to talk about. My guy, I'm sorry, we didn't trade him, but we didn't sign him.
He's signed in New York, finally.
He got paid.
Good for him.
Paid.
We were very, not just us, but we talked about it quite a bit last week. He got his money, Chris.
He set the market.
I'm very happy for Kenny Golladay, because it didn't look like he was going to get it as early as Saturday morning. The Bengals offered him, I believe it was 11.5 for 1 year. And at that point, that was the best offer he had. And that ain't $18 million a year. That isn't $16 million a year. That's not the $15.8 million that he would have gotten had he been franchise tagged, which he laughed at. But he got it. He got paid, and he got to go from what it sounds like where he really wanted to go all the time. He wanted to play in New York.
Yeah.
Didn't much care if it was the Giants or the Jets. The Giants, well, I don't know if the Giants are better than the Jets or not, but to his credit, he got what he wanted. It didn't look good. The path there was rocky, but give him his agent Todd France some credit. They got the prime deal for Galladay.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy for Kenny that he gets paid, because that was clearly very important to him. I love seeing dudes get paid. He busted his ass to make it happen, and I'm proud for him, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, guy blew the market up. No other wide receiver even came close. That's crazy.
Curtis Samuel got 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hey, we got a caller on the line. Caller, what's your name? And go ahead and bring it. Let's see what you got.
Jalen from the chat.
Hey, how you doing, Jalen?
Hey, I don't have a lot to say. I just wanted to say that I just want to remind everybody, Goff is only 26, and a lot of the questions we had about Stafford were still not fully realized when Stafford was 26, so I think we should just give the guy some time.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point. Stafford was not fully baked at 26. I mean, that was, 26 was the 2013 year for him. 2012.
No, it would have been more. It would have been later for that. He was 20 when he was a rookie.
Okay,
so that was 2009.
Yeah.
So he would have been 2015, 2016,
yeah,
right around then.
Yeah. So you're looking at Stafford 2015, 2016. With Jared Goff right now. So there's a lot to be written on that book. So no, that's a great point. It's an absolutely great point.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I just wanted to drop that in.
Appreciate it, brother.
You guys in the chat.
All right, cool. Thanks, brother. We'll see it. That was a good one. No, he had it. That's a good point.
And that is something that I think, there's a lot of discussion about Jared Goff that goes on in Lions social media and Twitter and Reddit and various other venues. In fact, I had a conversation with a bartender yesterday at Slow's Barbecue in Grand Rapids. We were talking about, hi, Jason. And he's like, so this Goff guy, can he get better? And I'm like, I kind of hope so. I think we're going to find out. I think they're giving him the chance to try and get better. But it is important to note he's probably not at his best yet. Most quarterbacks get there 27 to 30, 32, which we just went through with Stafford. I don't know if Stafford's going to get any better than he is now. We'll see. We'll see how the new system suits him. I'm not sure that it's a great fit with Sean McVay, but I also believe, Sean McVay's a very smart guy. I think he's going to change things up to play to Stafford's strengths. At least I hope he does. because I personally want to see Stafford succeed. That's just me. I think most Lions fans are that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I got a new phone. I had to get it set up for. This is the first time setting it up for the for the show. Okay, cool. Let's go. Let's talk about some of the comings and goings on the team, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we covered Golladay. He is gone. He's with the Giants. And just one quick thing on him. I see a lot of people bagging on Daniel Jones. He did not play well when the Lions have played him. I would urge you to reconsider the fact that he's hot garbage, though. He's not Stafford, but he is a guy who is going to throw those balls to Golladay when Golladay isn't necessarily open. He's not scared of throwing to a covered guy, and I think that's one of the things that Golladay needs. I think it's going to help him succeed there better than he would have had he been with a guy like Sam Darnold or like had he gone to Washington if he played with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Personally, I still would have loved to see him go to Cincinnati and play with Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow. I think he's phenomenal. I root for him, even though I am from Cleveland. We have a natural predilection to hate Cincinnati. I don't really care. I just like the guy, and plus he's from OU, and he bought a bar in Athens, his hometown, 500 shots after Ohio won our opening game in the tournament.
Wow.
Which was
I think it's funny how sports brings people together and how people naturally are tribal and try to separate. I have a great story. When I was in France, I was talking with a guy. I spent a month there for work a couple years ago. So he was my guy's there, and he's growing up, and he's with his grandma at the end of his village, and you can see a kilometer or two down the road the next village, right? And she says to him, you see that? You see that down there? He's like, yeah. She's like, those people aren't like us, right? Right? Like, and they've been for hundreds of years intermarrying between the villages and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's not like they're just like you, right? But there's this gap, and it's like when you said how Cleveland people hate Cincinnati, I think about that, and I think about how we hate Green Bay. But then fast forward today. You go and you watch, whatever Olympic sport you want to be, like Miracle in 1980 was great, but any sport of the day that's really, really exciting and while it's going on, you'd be standing there cheering on USA with your Packers and Lions jerseys standing next to each other, right? Cheering together for the same team. Right. They're just like us. Go USA. Right? It's so funny how sports can tear people apart and bring them together at the same time, just depending on where you're at and how the division's built.
It really is. You get that with Ohio and Michigan all the time.
Yeah.
A good time for my annual reminder. If you're a Michigan fan, you don't hate Ohio. You hate Ohio State. Learn the difference between the two damn schools. You don't confuse Michigan and Michigan State. Don't confuse Ohio and Ohio State.
That's how little I think about Ohio State. All right, other goings. Miles Killebrew, probably one of the most gorgeous men on the Lions team. Him and Amendola are definitely neck and neck on that.
We have gotten not prettier, and Jared Goff's pretty.
Yeah.
Actually, Charles Harris, who we'll talk about, he's kind of a good-looking dude too. But yeah, he's not Killebrew.
No. Yeah, Killebrew is just amazing. He's gone to Steelers. They got him on a 1-year deal. I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a special teams loss, but I feel like we can get a guy that can play and work special teams. He was here for 5 years. He played one snap in 2 of the last 3 seasons total.
You've had enough of that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, for sure. We talked a little bit last week. Jamal Williams to the Lions and Michael Brockers to the Lions. Brockers is official. Williams had a press conference today, and God, it was great. It was absolutely great. He talked about Dan Campbell and just absolutely loves him, right? Loves his heart, loves his spirit. He says his own hype man, right? He doesn't need a hype man because he's his own. And he's like with him and Williams and offensive coordinator. Why can't I think it was Anthony Lynn?
Anthony Lynn.
Yeah. He said they don't even need hype men. We're all our own hype men. He's like, I don't know what we're gonna do with all this hype on the sidelines this year, right? he's great. I love. He's Jamal
one of the
Williams.
most engaging dudes, and everybody from Green Bay, even though he signed in Detroit to go pick your trouble, they love this guy. Yeah. They're rooting for him. They want to see it happen for him, which is really, really cool. Yeah. It tells you what kind of a guy he is.
Yeah, just a fabulous personality. What a dude. Yeah. A great signing. I mean,
so much fun.
I'm going to tell you, that's the thing about this team this year. I don't think we're going to win. I think we'll win maybe one game more. I mean, especially if there's 17 games, we've got a better chance. We'll win one more game than we did last year. But it's going to be 10 times more fun to watch and take part in the Lions' growth and development this
Jamal
season.
Williams have played on a Matt Patricia team? Hell no. No way.
No.
No. Just Charles Harris also gave a press conference. So just listening to him talk, he's look. This is the guy. We'll skip forward to Charles Harris here in the section on the outline. If you're following along at home, Harris is a former first-round pick who should never have been a first-round pick. He washed out quickly in Miami. He's a pass rusher with no pass rush moves. He played in Atlanta last year. Wound up getting, I think it was 3 sacks. But he is a bright guy. He's a fun guy. He's a fun-loving guy. His press conference. This is a guy like you can tell that this dude went to class at Missouri. Like he gets it.
Yeah.
But he also isn't somebody who's going to shy away from like questioning things. And I think that the fact that he came across the way he did, he wouldn't have played for Matt Patricia.
No,
he might not play for Dan Campbell either because he's just not that good. But it's a 1-year deal on a former first-round pick. You take your chance at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he was really hyped about Sheila, right?
Yes, he was. So he brought up that Sheila was there when he signed the contract and talked to him and like knew who he was, knew things about him, respected him and exhorted him to go rush the passer. And he's like, yeah, that's that. Yeah. But he was really taken aback by how hands-on she was, and he respected it. He appreciated the fact that she cared about her investment, that she cared about winning, that she cared about the team, but also to let him know, that she was invested in him personally. And he's going to go out, and he said, I want to do my best for her because she has invested that in me, and that's what I need to give that back to her. I think that's something that you wouldn't have gotten from Martha, even though I think most players, if you talk to any of them, said, yeah, we liked Martha a lot. They didn't have that connection with it.
I really want to get into something here, Riz. This goes directly. There was a lot of crap purveyors, I'll say, out there that were just driving the question of, what is Rod in charge? Is Jill in charge? Are they making football decisions? It was the screaming, whiny media, the same ones that fell into tears over the firing of Braden Coombs. Just screaming, who's in charge? Oh my God, who's got the last decision? Oh my God, it was terrible. It was embarrassing, right? And we went through the one episode where we talked about servant leadership and what it is and all that. It just shows an absolute gap in understanding, number one, by the people asking the questions and pounding the table over it, and number two, an inability to understand that things outside of their kind of small realm of knowledge can happen, right? And what you see here with Sheila being involved, right? When the owner says your job is to go get that quarterback, right? I mean, that's great. She wasn't in there making the decision. She heard about it though. It was part of that conversation. That's how a group of leaders work in that kind of a situation. So she's aware of it. So Sheila's learning a ton. Rod Wood has learned and is continuing to learn a ton about football. Their roles are perfectly fine because they're letting the people explain to them why they're making the decisions they are. And they're learning. They're being taught by Brad Holmes. They're being taught by Dan Campbell, while Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are being taught the business side and the other pieces. Kinsner, God, I can't remember his name. Kinsner, right? The salary cap guy,
Disner.
Right? Disner, thank you.
Mike Disner.
Yeah, he's teaching about salary cap. That's part of what servant leadership is about, right? It's about educating those around you and working with everybody to get smarter and better at what you do. And so this whole it just goes back. This is exactly what that is. This is Sheila showing what that leadership breeds in the people that take part in it and practice it. And it also kind of, again, goes back and points to how little those folks knew when they were screaming and asking about who's in charge. They had a narrative, and it was obviously an echo chamber of a couple people screaming that narrative at that time, and it just shows how
absolutely
silly that is.
And it was frustrating to deal with because I do question if Rod Wood had too much influence, especially early on when Bob Quinn was a rookie GM. He was a rookie team president and a of course, he essentially just hung them out to dry after the hirings happened, which I don't think was the plan. Yeah, he probably did bite off more than he could chew then. But I have not seen any inclination that Rod Wood is like, go sign me Charles Harris.
Yep.
This was Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell going out and saying, hey, does this guy work for us? The pro personnel people, guys like Ray Agnew that are in the building. Okay, this guy fits what we want to do. He's a former first-round pick. We got another one of those at wide receiver in Brashad Perriman.
Yeah.
Another former first-round pick who did not work at all with his first team, showed a little bit more life later on. Now let's see what we got. And let's see if we can get something out of him, even if it's just for a year as a bridge to something better.
And they're playing for players. People who were players who can probably get more out of them than anybody else could have.
And Harris has brought that up, and Brockers brought that up in his press conference, and Goff brought it up in his.
I'll also add
the fact that there's all these guys have former players. Deuce Staley, Aaron Glenn. These guys were recent players. These are players that the current players, like some of them might have even overlapped at the beginning of their careers. But they certainly remember watching them when they were playing college football and high school football. Like, oh yeah, I know who that is. You don't have to tell me who Aaron Glenn is. So I watched him with the Jets. I watched him with the Cowboys.
You put those players playing for players, along with, as Paul says in the chat, having multiple people from multiple levels involved. It adds to a more personal connection and probably a better culture. And it's the culture they're looking for. It's an absolute 180 from the Patricia Quinn culture. All right, we got a caller here. Caller, what's your name? And have you had anything to drink just yet? It is 5 o'clock somewhere. You there? Caller? You there?
I'm waiting on it. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. How you doing?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I had far too many this weekend, so the Monday we're relaxing quite a bit here. But my name's Tripp, calling from Grosse Pointe. First, just want to acknowledge that truly the only Lions podcast I look forward to every week. Love what both of you guys are doing. Really, the big difference between you and a lot of the other Lions people out there is that it just feels like I'm sitting around a table with you having a six-pack of beer or whatnot. So I really appreciate the work you guys are doing.
Thanks, man.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quick question. I know Perriman was a great signing. And one thing I thought the old regimes, the one thing I'll give, even Mayhew credit for and things like that was going out and finding an upside receiver that could turn into like a number 2 type or a 1A, 1B. Would you ever consider like a Demarcus Robinson just for his upside? I know he's got some off-field issues, but I think he's got a tremendous amount of upside.
I'll just jump in and say yes. Riz, where's your head at?
If he comes affordable, it's certainly worth giving him a try. I would like some more permanence than the fact that we're just giving these guys. Well, Tyrell's going to be here for a little bit longer, but Brashad's a 1-year deal. He's going to play a lot too, based on the contract terms that I saw. He's going to be out there. He's going to make the team. That you can't say that necessarily about Charles Harris. I think Charles Harris and Austin Bryant are fighting for the same roster spot. The more the merrier. You've got to get. There are definite holes though. Robinson is not a slot receiver right now. The number one, they've got to replace Danny Amendola, and it doesn't seem like there's been any inclination from Amendola or the Lions to bring back for another season. So they got to get a slot. They need a young guy who can be a number 1 wide receiver. Maybe not have to be that right away, but at least bring him in and see if he clicks. I mean, he's worked in the past with some of the people that we got here. Why not see if he can make it happen again? But you can't break the bank for a guy like that.
I'm going to tell you, Waddle is the guy. And this is where I think why you're seeing these 1-year deals is it's just me. And we'll talk a little bit more later. This is really likely one of our last super free agency focused shows where we're pivoting towards the draft. At the end of the show, we're going to have a big one. And then we're going to go on with the rest of our shows from here, unless, big news breaks in free agency. But your Waddle is the guy in slot. I think we would probably be picking 2 wide receivers, maybe even 3 this year if the rest of the team wasn't so bad. Oh, thanks for the comment. If the rest of the team wasn't so bad, I think that's why Rashad is here and going to play, right? Because we've got 6 picks this year and 9 holes. So there's a lot of work to be done. Well, next year we'll talk about it. But next year is a year where
they have to get a starting wide receiver, not necessarily for 2021, but for 2022, and beyond, has to come from this draft. And it's got to be a good one. It can't be a Chris Durham type. It can't be Brashad Perriman.
Right.
You need, if you want to get your alpha dog, this is the year to get it, because there's a lot of them. I'm with you, Chris. I like Jalen Waddle a hell of a lot. I saw the little stat today. He had a perfect passer rating when targeted from the slot throughout his entire freaking college career.
Yep.
That spans Tua, that spans Jalen Hurts, that spans Mac Jones, who I don't think is very good at all. That's there's
some hate on you for
that's
that.
impressive to me.
Stay away from the comments on the Mac Jones stuff, Riz. No, I think Waddle is a great fit
Waddle
for this team this year, and it all of a sudden clarifies a whole lot about that wide receiver grouping we have. It becomes your long-term. Look, we're not signing long-term answers at wide receivers for a reason. Yeah, for sure, Trip.
Exactly.
Thanks for calling, man. Appreciate it, bro. So I'm a Waddle guy for sure.
I like Waddle. I do like Devontae Smith. I like Jamar Chase. I like Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
I like Rashad Bateman. I like a lot of guys in this draft at wide receiver in the top 40 picks.
Yep.
There's a lot of them to like.
Yep.
And the list I just gave is not a complete list either.
I wish we had more picks. That's the thing this year, because it's such
what those first round picks in the future are for.
Yeah, that can help. Can definitely help. All right, let's move on. We also had we got Chris Harris covered. Brockers is official. Carries the hammer of Thor.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
I think he's just.
So I'm not a comic book guy at all. I've never seen any of the. Was it Marvel and what's the other one? DC.
Yeah.
I don't do those movies. I like documentaries. I don't like fantasy fiction type things. That's not what I'm into. I don't know what that means.
As Joker from the DC world, I'm telling you.
I'm unaware of that.
I'm telling you, that movie Joker is a great movie, and the reason is I'm okay with the Men in Tights movies, whether they're medieval stuff or comic book stuff. I'm just not super excited by them. They're good, fun action movies, right? Joker was an absolutely good movie that it doesn't kind of, for me, fit in the superhero realm of movies. It was, okay. And it doesn't fit. The thing I like about it, and this is what really bothers me about most movies, is they're predictable and formulaic, and just I get really angry when I know what's going to happen in a movie, right? Joker was completely different. It was really dark, and I like a dark movie, on occasion, but I'm not like drawn to them. But it was so different and so dark, and I watched it. Took my son to see it, and we both walked out just like, we were quiet all the way to the car, and we sat down and looked at each other like, wow. Like it was. It was a great movie. Loved that movie, and I think you would like it, Riz. Even not liking the whole kind of superhero genre, you would love Joker.
Okay. I will take that under advisement. We never see movies, and right now I don't think we can see movies yet. Still there, but I don't know. The last movie I saw in the theater,
Max.
We saw the last Star Wars movie, the one where Mark Hamill was a hologram of himself. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen that already, you probably don't need to listen to the show. I was like, oh my God, this is so long. And I just paid $15 for 12 ounces of soda and a pack of Twizzlers. No, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. The pandemic has done the one thing with like the Fandango and HBO Max releases for movies that I always wanted. I'm willing to pay $20 to be able to watch it at home and not go to the theater, right? I've got a big screen. I've got surround sound, right? I've got a great experience. I want to be able to pause it and go pee and not miss what I paid for, or all those kinds of things. And it kind of forced it upon them. Sorry to the movie theater business, but I'm sorry to the buggy whip business too, about the auto industry. The world changes, right? And it goes on. So there you go. Sorry, I don't want to go too deep on that. Right.
You don't see many hitching posts anymore.
No. Go head on over to Greenfield
The guy
Village.
who installs hitching posts probably found a new career. I'm gonna guess. I hope.
Yep.
For his sake, he did.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on. I got to really talk about CBD. If you guys have any kind of pain, anxiety, or insomnia, this is your cure. CBD at cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Go there, use coupon code LIONS, get 55% off. And I want to clarify this for people, because there's two kind of strains, if you will, of the CBD. There's regular CBD, which it comes in a cream, which is absolutely awesome for sore muscles. I'll tell you, that's all I got left in this one. I use the heck out of it. It is great.
It looks like
for
yogurt.
Sore muscles. It does. It's a little mentholy, but it's fabulous. I slept on my shoulder funny Sunday or Saturday, and woke up with like a pinched nerve down my arm. It killed, and I started and sore muscle, and I just rubbed it on, and I was great. I was great within like 15 minutes. I felt awesome again. I still had the little tingles, but other than that, the pain part was gone, so that was good. But yeah, so that's the regular CBD. It comes in a cream. They have gummies. They have oil. The whole thing. It will take care of anxiety, sleeplessness, and pain. I'm telling you for sure. Now there's the other stuff that does all that, but there's a little more to it. It's the Delta 8 line, the Chill, and they have like the Chill Superior line, which is even bigger. Legal in all 50 states. It will trip a drug test though. The other stuff won't. The Delta 8 and Chill line and the Super Chill, those will trip a drug test, just so you know, fair warning. But if you want to get yourself a nice sit down on the couch and kind of melt into it and just chill, it's aptly named. It's perfect stuff. That stuff will really give you a nice ride for a good couple 2 3 4 hours. If you take 2, you're going to go longer. Just be careful. I've heard a lot of people say they took one and then took another one shortly after, in which they only taken one. So take one. Go to cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, and get yourself taken care of. Great stuff. And coupon code LIONS gets you 55% off. All right, there we go. Let's see. We talked about Williams, Brockers. Okay, let's talk about Jamal Williams' press conference, talking about how he was so excited about Dan Campbell and how high on him. Right, he was absolutely. Dan Campbell was the man, and one of the reasons he said his own hype man. Right, we talked about that. Brockers also said he's really excited about Dan Campbell, and he thinks he's a great coach and gonna be awesome. Look, we heard from like Patriots guys that we were signing that they came here because of Matt Patricia. Right, it was only them. Everybody else was like, "I want to get out of here because of Matt Patricia." Man. I want to get out of here.
I'll never forget. We interviewed. The first week of training, like after the first week of training camp, the first year that Patricia was there, they gave us a media session, and Quandre Diggs and Glover Quinn were 2 of the players that they let us talk to. And we asked them very bluntly, what do you think so far? Do you think all the talk about Patricia, being this, hard guy and everything was overblown? And they were professional about it, but you could tell, like, yeah, kind of. I'm not sure I like this all that much. And it's not coincidental that both of them were gone very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say,
I think the fact that Dan Campbell is so unique, and almost every player has brought up the fact that they want to go bite some kneecaps. Look, it's weird. It doesn't play for everybody. I don't know if it's going to work. There are times when I'm just like when he said the wielding the hammer of Thor the other day, and I sent it out on Twitter. I'm like, do I really want to hit this? Because I know the comments. I know what's going to happen. And it was true. Lions fans were like, yeah, that's awesome. That's my guy. That's MCDC. And like fans from around the rest of the league were like, y'all are never going to win a game. So, and I get that. I do. I understand that the gimmicky coaching tends to not work much longer than a year, but God, it's just something had to be done, Chris, to change.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You talked about it earlier in this show. These Lions are going to be fun to watch. They're going to be an appealing football team. Guys who want to have fun while they're playing and maybe win, they're going to be lining up to play for Dan Campbell.
Yep.
Whereas they would run the hell the other direction if Matt Patricia was still here. And you guys know the coaches around the league that are like that. The players want to play for, they want to be around. Anthony Lynn was one of those guys when he was coach of the Chargers. He's a very different style of coach, but he's a guy who connects on a very personal level with players. And I think that having him here, that reinforces it.
Yep.
They're not all these, kneecap biting psychopaths that Dan Campbell, the role that he likes to play. And I do think that Campbell, honestly, I think his X's and O's prowess and his ability to teach, I think gets lost or overshadowed by everything else.
Sure.
And I think we do need to see that. We need to make sure that it's not just fluff and hype. But the people in Miami talked about it and talked about him pretty glowingly in that aspect. Like, hey, this guy isn't a meathead here. He might play that on TV, but there's more there than meets the eye. We need that to come quickly. Otherwise, because what he's doing, if it doesn't work, is going to fail spectacularly, and it's not going to last long at all. Let's pray that that's not the case. But he's got some skepticism, but I like the fact that he will attract a certain kind of player. And a guy like Jamal Williams is the kind of player that I want on my football team, because there's a guy who likes playing football and likes having fun while he plays football, and that's not a problem for the Lions. I like that a lot. Yeah,
I'm gonna say something, and some people may not like it, right? But this is I think just one of the keys, and this is one of the things that makes up a winning team. Okay, people that like to play football tend to play good football, better football, okay? People that don't like to play football tend not to be as good. It seems like a pretty simple statement, but if you think about people who like the game, also do the part where you play for each other, right? And when you play for each other, when you play for something bigger than you, that's when you really put it on the field, and that's how you build a winning team. I'm going to go in and say there's a reason, and that's right along the lines of why Kenny Golladay is a New York Giant today, based on what I heard, what people inside leadership in the building thought happened last year, and what we saw last year. Kenny's a me player, and good player. Catches balls well. I don't think he would have been a detriment on this team. I think we would have been. We're worse at wide receiver without him. No question about it. Even if we pick up Waddle, we're worse at wide receiver without him. But when you look at what the makeup of this team is and that culture of the team with these, like I said, playing for coaches, the ownership, being involved and creating a culture of inclusiveness amongst and being there for each other, creates a much better football team, and that's why some of those choices have to be made. I'll also go back to, we're talking about Patricia here. Everybody was high on Patricia when this started. Everybody was high. He was the consensus coach that year, other than Mike Vrabel, right? And I got to give you props on that, Riz. But and Bob Quinn too everyone was the NFL.
Bob Quinn was
across the board. He's Superman. He's the guy, and it looked like as things went on, they were like just one step behind. The problem is, as time goes on and you can start evaluating performance, you start finding out that they put themselves one step behind continually. They continued to downgrade positions across the board and not get better and not put and then the coaching was just absolutely horrific and not what we thought. And it got to the point where now we just have to sit here with these guys in charge until it's over. But everybody, consensus opinion was high on these guys when they came in, and it took them actually getting to do the job to find out that they were no good and then check out on them. That's it. But you got to give them the opportunity to do their job and do it well. It's just like the folks we have now. I'm not saying Brad Holmes is going to be a superstar GM. He looks really good so far. I think for what he started with in free agency this year, as far as the roster and salary cap, he's done a great job. I think Holmes has done a great job so far. Campbell, I think the staff he's hired is an exceptional staff. I see what he's doing. I like what he's doing. I agree with his approach. Will it work? Yet to be seen. We don't know. I love what I'm seeing, but if it doesn't work, I reserve the right to be out on him at the end and critical. Just like, you're in your job and you think you can do it and you don't do a good job, somebody's going to be critical about you, even though they're the one that hired you in the first place. So, with data, opinions change. That's the natural state of how things work. So it's not flip-flopping. It's basing your decision making and your opinions on what you see. So I just had to put that out there because I saw some people talking about it, and it's like everybody said that Bob Quinn was the hire of the century.
It's true. That was universally lauded. You go back to that time. Go find articles. I don't think I wrote any that time. I think I was. Oh yeah, I was writing for a website that no longer exists back then. So my work will not be available on it. But like everybody was talking about it, about how the Lions were so blessed, and that word did get used, blessed, to land Bob Quinn. This was the guy who was going to change everything, change over, get rid of the Martin Mayhew legacy that he was still affiliated with Matt Millen, and it carried back to all the dreariness before him that just didn't work.
Yeah,
and I think that was unfair to Martin, but I also think that we were so desperate for the change, specifically in Detroit, was that, oh my God, this guy's coming from an organization that knows how to win, therefore he will win. And we didn't necessarily put together that he might not have had a lot to do with why they were good.
Yeah.
He certainly had. He did good. He did good work in New England, and to be fair to him, he did some good work in Detroit too.
Yeah.
I think some of his moves, especially early on,
Kenny Golladay was a good pickup right there. I mean,
and he made some smart decisions along the way. The worst decision he made was unfortunately the most important one, and that was hitching his wagon to Matt Patricia and unwillingly following that wagon down the road to despair and gloom.
Yep. There you go. All right, so there we are. We talked about Brockers. Oh, let's talk about Brockers. He also talked about Stafford when he was still with the Rams before he came here, being a level up over Goff. Boy, you talk about, putting your foot in your mouth, tasting some shoe leather.
Right.
That one had to hurt. And he did clarify. Let me really get his words here because I want to make sure I get it.
Yeah, it needs to be straight from the horse's mouth here.
Yeah. So he says it was more of a fan booster. It wasn't anything against Jared. I had to text Jared as a man-to-man and say I didn't mean what I said. You took me to the Super Bowl. It wasn't like that. So, again, these guys are
right.
they're marketeers. Part of what they do is market, right? Their brand and their team, because that boosts their brand.
For further context on that, Brockers was the team captain of the Rams. He was the heart and soul, the emotional leader of their defense. Was he the best player on their defense? No, he was not. But he was the glue guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy like when they're having a meeting on the sideline during a game, and somebody's going to stand up and say, "This is what we need to do." That's Michael Brockers. That's the kind of guy he is. So for him to do that, I look, and parenthetically, he's not wrong. What he said.
Right. No,
we talked about that already. I don't think there's anybody, again, who would say that Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford in the NFL. Now, maybe his time in Los Angeles was more successful in terms of playoff victories and whatever than Stafford's was in Detroit. That's inarguable, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Move on with it.
Yeah.
But the other thing was the Brockers said not only did he text Goff, but he also talked to him personally.
Yep.
And addressed it with him. And Goff came out and talked about it too, and was like, I get it. I understand. I'm not going to be a jerk about this. I understand what he was saying. I understand his frame of reference for what he was doing. I know him. I know that he didn't mean that as a shot at me. He meant it as, I'm really excited to have Matthew Stafford here because this is, look, if you're a Rams fan or if you're a Ram, you failed in the last couple of playoffs somewhat because Goff wasn't good enough, but just the fact that Goff isn't that guy. He's not Stafford in terms of the guy who's got the fourth quarter rally around him, the guy who's going to make the super impossible throws that show up on SportsCenter. When was the last time you saw a Jared Goff highlight throw?
In the subreddit.
Yeah, yeah. Good call. There's just a different kind of energy. I think that organization was ready for a change, and they made a radical one. And if you're part of that, you got to be excited because this is a team. Hey, Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback on the market. Whether I'm in the market for a rookie or a veteran, he was the best one out there. You can't tell me that you think Carson Wentz is better than Matthew Stafford. I will laugh in your face. I will spit in your face.
Oh my!
No, he's not. He's really not.
Let me just really quick go to JJ in the chat. Holmes is putting his job in the line with Jared Goff. So much intrigue with the Lions. Campbell, Holmes, and Goff could be celebrating a couple years from now. NFC North championship and some playoff wins. I don't think he is in putting his job on the line with Goff, and I'll tell you why. Sheila and Rod, when they hired Brad Holmes, they knew that Matthew Stafford had already said he needs to leave. He wants to leave, and he wants to go. I think what Brad Holmes did was absolutely the best possible deal that you could have expected in a trade for Matthew Stafford. There's no better landing spot for anybody. The thing, can you imagine? And this is the one that I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, Stafford, you went out. I don't care where you go, right? I'm sorry. I love you. You're an awesome quarterback. I want you to succeed, but I'm a Lions fan first, right? I was a Lions fan before Barry Sanders played for the team. I'm a Lions fan after Barry Sanders plays for the team. That's just the end of the story, right? And I was like, Deshaun Watson. I want Deshaun Watson. He's the guy. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I don't think there's a better way to have done this. And I think that Holmes engineered such a great deal for the team. Actually, whether Goff works or not is probably it's not going to be a deal breaker for him and his role. I think that I believe that Stafford's going to win. I just I think that
this year.
Sorry, my
year
order was messing up.
I want it to happen this year.
Yeah.
Because the Lions are not going to win this
year. It won't
be
the end of him either way. So, all right, let's see. Let's see. We move on really quick. On Goff, I want to talk about the Dan Campbell presser again about that. The word grit continued to come up. And this is what kills me about Goff. He's just a little fella. He just looks so, like when he was standing up there with his little polo, he looked like a kid who was like 9 years old for school pictures. I mean, I swear to God, he just looked like
it was with the ironed collar on the polo shirt.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great guy, funny guy. He doesn't look big. I look at when I'm looking at his arms and stuff, right? I'm like, God, this guy's skinny, right?
Yeah, that was one of the knocks on him coming out of California was that he didn't have the quote unquote NFL build.
Yeah, holy cow! I didn't realize how small he is, and I can't wait till a taste of the Lions because the picture of me next to him, he's going to be fitting in my.
He is 2 inches taller than Stafford.
Yeah, oof, man, oh man, that's crazy. So the thing that came up,
looks too much like Ryan Gosling from The Notebook.
Yeah. The thing that came up and continued to come up about him was his grit, right? And the obvious one is he came back in a situation where he and McVay were not happy with each other.
They were not simpatico.
Yeah, he came back with an injured thumb and played in the playoffs and won a playoff game.
Yeah.
I just got to say, you know something? That's right. And that's the obvious one, but he's shown up a lot. He's got mental toughness. He's been underestimated continuously.
He played behind some crap offensive line, specifically at Cal.
Yep.
He went to a Cal team that was awful. That was an awful program when he got there.
And the other piece that and this is you're alluding to it here. He started with a team that was trash more than once and taken them to success. This is a story that he knows. And he's going to know if this is working. He can look around and say if this is going to work or not because he's been there. He's been down this road a couple times. I'm really excited about this concept of a guy who's done this and gotten a team to the Super Bowl coming in to a place that hasn't seen it since a lot of the folks watching or taking part in the show have been alive. They haven't seen a playoff win. Him to take us to the point where we're going to see that. I really believe that this is more than a possibility. I think this is an inevitability for this team, an eventuality here, and we're going to see it with Goff. You okay there? I don't mean to totally break your head, but I just think that Goff is going to be able to help carry this team and get us to where we need to be. He really definitely showed the capability to carry a bad team to a good place. Did we lose you, Riz? Oh, we did. All right, Riz will be back. He'll get back in here shortly. Okay, we'll move on. There he is. There you go, Riz. Riz. There he comes. All right. Hi, Riz.
I'm back. Sorry, my Wi-Fi kicked out. My son walked through. He just got home from track practice, and his the stank from his feet apparently knocked our Wi-Fi out.
It's okay. He probably fired the microwave up.
Now he's looking at me all odd.
All right, so we got Goff. We got a team that is building. We got a front office and coaching staff and ownership that seems involved and doing well. I think we've got all the pieces we need to really see something. The one thing I can tell you is, and I'm TM Ash on this one, you'll know if your rebuild is working by the end of the second year. So
absolutely,
don't expect a Super Bowl this year, or maybe even a playoff win this year.
You want to see competence. You want to see progress from point A to point B. You want to see a team that gets better from week 1 to their bye week, and then after their bye week, from then on, you want to see them adapt to what they can. I want to see this team, instead of losing 37-20, I want to see them losing 21-20. Or 24-18, something like that. I want to see close losses. I want to see competitive. I want to see fight. I want to see fun. I want to see guys invested in one another and having one another's back and celebrating when they do something good. There wasn't enough of that, Chris, and that's where the NFL is at these days.
Yeah,
you've got to have the joy of life. It's got to be fun. I'll go back to I'll go to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a second. The other team of my heart. They had a good coach in David Blatt, who thought he was a really good coach. Did very good things in Israel. Did great things in the European League. Was wonderful. He didn't mesh with today's NBA player. So they fired him in the middle of the season, promoted Ty Lue, a former player, a guy who got it. Wasn't a great player, but maximized everything that he had. But he understood the mentality of how to reach professional players that were in America and on the team today, and they won a title because of it. Not saying that Dan Campbell's going to be able to do that, but I do think that the ability to connect and relate to the players and for the players to appreciate that about their coach and respect that about their coach, you're seeing that with the press conferences that are being talked about with Dan Campbell. Every player is bringing that up, whether they're asked about it or not. And I think that's such a stark change from where we've been. And I really do hate to keep throwing crap on Matt Patricia's grave, but damn if he didn't deserve it, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, really quick, we'll finish the Goff talk, but there's one more thing. Always when you're talking about Goff, you want to know about Goff Plumbing? Just here to lay some pipe. If you remember the text where he said he'd pipe Sean's girlfriend. Kind of a throwback to that. That was great stuff. Got that, some MCDC shirts, a lot of great stuff at the merch store. Go ahead and check those out. Go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. Phone cases, t-shirts, the whole ball of beans. Go ahead and check it out. DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. Great stuff there. All right, gonna move on. This we alluded to it earlier. Deshaun Watson, NFL news. Holy cow,
man!
There's something that just came in. It came from the most intelligent chat on the internet, our Patreon Slack chat, and boy, oh boy, I got to tell you, this one is ugly.
All right, now I got to pull it up, so I'm not on the Slack right at the moment.
Yeah, okay. It's a link to our NFL, the NFL subreddit, and it's going to be, sorry, I had to do that. It's a excerpt from the 11th lawsuit. It's 4 of them that were filed this morning. And I'm not going to read it because it's long.
12 now, right?
Yes. There's 12 lawsuits. This is the 11th.
Okay.
There's up to 22 that we've heard because there's more accusers. Now, the situation here's okay. I'm in an industry, my day job, where compliance is extremely important. And when you talk about compliance, we mean, with government regulation. Okay. In the financial industry, for example, you don't only want to follow the law, you also want to show that you act in a way that doesn't imply that you would break the law. Okay. It's the same with all types of compliance, right? And so the fact that you didn't break the law, the fact that you acted in a way where you were or could or might break the law is actually a breach. Okay. It's a problem, and it's something that that will ask to be solved. Okay. Even though you didn't breach the compliance. So the reason I bring this up is because the lawyer in the suit is attached to the owner of the Houston Texans, right?
They are very closely attached.
This gives an impression that this is maybe the Texans retaliating against Deshaun Watson, and it actually, in a way, gives people ammunition to undermine these lawsuits. Now, I'm going to get to some of the pieces of this one. When I read what's in the excerpt from the lawsuit, this certainly doesn't look made up, right? This does not look like a false accusation at all. Again, this is all alleged. We don't want to say that anybody's guilty of anything we don't know, and we don't want to, rush to judgment on either side. But the words in this filing,
ugly.
God, are just
Chris,
damning. And so I'm just going to say it comes down to, how can I say this? Okay, yeah, here we go. Get out of your stupid bottoms. Okay, forced oral and masturbation, we'll say, are basically summed up in it, and his behavior is just abhorrent. It's just incredible.
Right.
I can't imagine anyone acting this way in a massage parlor. And they may say, "Oh, well, she massaged him a second time." She didn't know, and she was massaging him a second time until he walked into the room. So she was caught completely off guard. So if somebody tries to use that as a reason, that's not, the facts are right here about what's in the filing. It's horrible. It's horrible. This is damning. If this is true, and hopefully they come to the truth in whatever these lawsuits are, I don't think this guy should play in the NFL. I really don't. I think
it's very tough for me because I love Deshaun.
Yep.
I love watching him play. I have interviewed him before. I've stood in front of him at a podium when I covered the Texans. He's a phenomenal talent, and this is wildly out of character for the person that we all know. And I'm saying this representing people who cover the Texans. They are all shocked by this too. This is not the guy that they know. That doesn't mean he didn't do it. It doesn't mean he did.
Right.
But
right.
I think that's one of the reasons why this is so stunning, is because it seems wildly out of character for the Deshaun that we all know and that his teammates know. They've been remarkably quiet about it. So I don't want to speculate in any one direction or another on it. It's a very unfortunate thing to be going through. And I, like you said, they need to find the truth. And I hope that the truth is what the truth prevailing becomes.
I hope that the truth is not what we see in this filing.
If this stuff's true, he's got to get the hell out.
Yeah.
And needs to go away for a while.
Yeah.
A long while.
And get some help.
This is not cool stuff.
No.
Not at all.
No. This is bad. If this is the reality of what was filed here, this is abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent behavior. So Deshaun Watson in a lot of trouble. You've got, again, the filing, which is one person's side of the story, right? And boy, it's wow.
Right.
And
so
on
Tony
the other
Busby,
side,
who's the attorney, I will say this: he is not somebody that. How do you say it? Because he does incredible business for himself. He's done it very well for himself. He has enough to buy a tank that sits in his driveway or his front yard. That tank, by the way, happens to be pointed at Cal McNair's house. Cal McNair is the owner of the Texans.
I want a tank. I want a tank so bad.
There's a lot of. It's one of those where you wish that the messenger was a different guy. Like if. I don't know the Michigan. I don't really follow the attorney thing, although, but you would want this to be like a guy who's not like, I don't know. There's just so many greasy things. Greasy is the word that I'm going to use a lot with the Houston Texans. It's greasy at the top. It's greasy. Jack Easterby is that way. Busby is that way. He's not somebody that a normal person would want to have be representing them.
Can I just kind of go with how this could get worse?
Yeah.
That, there's the accusation, they're too close. Its ownership is just trying to defame him right through this. What if all this is true and they knew about it and were covering it up, and once they realized that this was unsalvageable, it's a situation of, if we can't have him, nobody's going to have him. We're letting it get out.
Could be.
That could be.
You got to consider that.
Holy moly, right?
If this stuff is true, and again, it's so wildly out of character, I really don't want it to be true, because I do like Deshaun. But man, if it's true, he's got to go, and no way about it. There's no, and the fact that it's so many people, and so many different incidents. You got to at least explore the fact that it could be true.
Yeah.
And I really hope it's not, because again, he's one of my favorite players. I've enjoyed watching him. I've enjoyed standing in front of him and listening to him talk. He's done wonderful things for a lot of people in the Houston community, the Texans. When Hurricane Katrina, not Katrina,
Maria,
Harvey.
Maria was
when it hit. He paid the salaries for all the people that work in the team cafeteria, the team trainers and stuff like that. He treated them. He like if they couldn't afford like their house payment or something, because or he paid for house repairs. He treated all these people so well with such dignity and respect. That's why it's so hard to believe that this happened. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yep.
I just hope we find out that it either did or it didn't, and I hope that it's not something that lingers on, like with Ben Roethlisberger. There's still a lot of ambiguity. Did it happen? Did it not happen?
That's just
people who are Steelers fans tend to think it didn't happen. People who are not Steelers fans tend to think
if this is something that the team has been covering up, and that this is retribution right now, it's going to come out with very solid proof. Well, you said how greasy it is and how slimy it is.
It is. I can't fathom Cal McNair being that cunning. Now, Jack Easterby, yes. Cal McNair, no.
We'll see. So
it's
in the chat,
awful, man.
Anand in the chat says psychopaths are very good at maintaining multiple images, one in private, and radically different one in public. So that's absolutely true that they are.
I can't argue with that. I really want it to not be true. But so from let's go to a football pragmatic point. It means that nobody's trading for Deshaun Watson.
Can you imagine if we had? Can you imagine if we had?
Can you imagine if
the
Dolphins had traded for him, as they tried very hard to do?
Let's make it close to home, though. Tie it to the Lions. We were all high. We want Watson. Okay, Stafford's going to go. Okay, now we screwed Stafford by sending him to Houston to that joke of a show, and then we get Watson, and it blows up like this. That I think would cost Holmes his job. I think absolutely that would put his job on the line. How good
some of us might have suggested that you send Goff and 3 of the first round picks to Houston for Deshaun Watson not too long ago. Somebody might have said that.
Yeah.
Whew. Maybe.
The light of the next day really shows the roaches. All right, we'll move on from that. That's just an uncomfortable story. More as that breaks.
Oh, God.
I want to talk the last real thing about free agency, and something I think this is kind of the thing they call it evergreen content. This is something I think that is going to be really good for a long time. Ash Thompson, our guy Ash, does some writing for us. May do writing for some other people in the future that you know. He's done some great vlogs. 2 of them are out. We'll have 2 more releasing this week. I think there's 3 more to go about NFL contracts, and this is like the most clear yet succinct articulation of what's going on and how these contracts work. If you don't, and there's a lot of people who write about football for a living who don't know these things and need to watch these videos. I'm telling you right now, this will clarify for you. So far, he's done an overview.
I learned a couple things from it. I've been doing this for a hell of a long time.
There you go. He's done an overview of NFL contracts, and he's done voidable years. Voidable years, we talked about it for a while. He does it in 4.5 minutes. And you'll get it top to bottom. You'll understand it. He's got a dead cap one coming this week. He's got rookie contracts, and now I got to look at what the other one is here really quick.
Voidable years, by the way, are everywhere now. They are the big thing. Yeah. The Cleveland Browns gave one to Troy Hill on a 2-year, $9 million deal. They gave him 2 voidable years, so they don't have to. He's basically free this year.
Yeah. And how incentives work. That's the other one, how incentives work. So each piece of these contracts covered quickly, concisely, with some graphic support. I mean, it's pretty good stuff. He's done a good job on those. It's on our channel on Detroit Lions Podcast on YouTube. I really recommend you guys check those out. You will be absolute salary cap experts. Maybe not the strategy, but you'll understand how it all works and what people are talking about when they talk about these things. And you'll be able to catch a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about when they're writing or talking about these things as well. The voidable years thing, I'll tell you, it's going to be huge this year. And the reason is it becomes valuable when you don't have cap money to spend and you need to push it out over time. Voidable years gives you the option to do that, but without actually signing them to a super long contract. Now you're still mortgaging cap space in the future, but the cap goes up in the future, right? So from a strategic perspective,
Cap's gonna go way up.
So you got a lot of teams this year because of COVID and the way things went with that are having a cap squeeze. Right, so the voidable years gives them an opportunity to get the player paid, and they can amortize that over against the cap over time, and it'd be good to go. Typically, how that would work and where you will see voidable years is when a team is like the Bucs are a great example, right? They want Tom Brady just for this last push. They know a rebuild's coming. Right. If you see a whole bunch of voidable years contracts popping up, you know you have a team that's against the cap that's making their push before a rebuild in any year, but this year. This year's a little special because of what happened with the cap because of COVID. But you'll see all that. You'll get it 4.5 minutes with Ash. It's a great series, and this is great content. If ever you're confused or need to know about NFL contracts, check it out. It's a Detroit Lions Podcast YouTube channel. All right. From that, I want to pivot towards the draft to our last topic, if you don't mind, Riz, because. I know you just went
draft, really? Ooh, yeah.
I know you just went to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com to get your new Lions jersey, and you had him hand print the name of Pitts on the back. Kyle Pitts, your guy. He's your guy, right? And I don't know. I'm just making fun of you. I just had to get that.
He is.
Tell me, convince me why I want Kyle Pitts on the Detroit Lions at 7 this year.
Chris, do you like DK Metcalf? Do you think DK Metcalf's a good football player?
He's okay.
You like Mike Evans? Do you think he's a good football player? Good NFL wide receiver?
He's turned out all right. I mean, I saw him in that one big game.
Kyle Pitts is bigger, faster, and has better hands than both of them. He ran a 4.43 today in Florida. That's insane. Now, Metcalf does clock faster, but Pitts also has about 15 to 20 pounds on him. So if you do the whole free plug for Kent Platt here at his RAS, because it's weight and size
influence.
I can't think of the word.
Influence, balanced, scaled.
Yeah, yes.
Weighted.
Yes, thank you. Weighted for your dimensions. If you weigh 180 pounds, you better be faster than a guy who weighs 310. But it's relative to that. He is a phenomenal outside wide receiver prospect. The fact that he played tight end in college is going to be a massive bugaboo for a lot of people. And it's not just Lions fans. Broncos Nation's having this exact same argument because they've had some fairly highly drafted tight ends that haven't worked out for them either. He is not a tight end in the NFL. He is DK Metcalf. He is Mike Evans. That's the kind of guy that you need to compare him to. To go to a new Lion, he's not physically dissimilar, though he's bigger, than Brashad Perriman when Perriman was made a first-round pick by the Baltimore Ravens when he was, I think it was 6'4", 216 pounds and ran a 4.3, 240. You're not talking about him playing tight end. You're not talking about DK Metcalf playing tight end, even though he's a monster. He looks like he's inflated by a pump every time he takes his shirt off.
Inflated by a pump.
Don't do that to Kyle Pitts. Don't limit your imagination to the fact that he played tight end, therefore he's a tight end, and he's Josh Hill or he's Dan Campbell. Like, this is not Brandon Pettigrew. This is a much superior athlete to T.J. Hawkinson. This is a much superior athlete to Mike Evans, who's a Pro Bowl outside wide receiver. He's AJ Green, but really freaking fast. He's Julio Jones. Those are the guys that you need to be comparing Kyle Pitts to, and that's where he's going to play in the NFL. Now, can he play in your slot? That's
my question. Can he play in the slot for us? He was a tight end.
He can line up as an inline tight end. As a inline tight end number 2, when you're going to a package, you can move him around. He will dictate matchups. Can you cover him with a linebacker? Hell to the no, you cannot. Can you cover him with a safety? Probably not. You need to get a big-ass corner in there that can turn and run, or you're going to play a vanilla zone where you're passing him off from one zone to another, so he's not going to destroy you. Put that next to Hawkinson, who showed a heck of a lot last year. There are things that he needs to work on. But, man, the two of them together – with him as a receiver, oh my God!
So let me just paint a picture here for you, okay? Let's get to imagination land. You think about our line, good line. I think we're strong there.
It is the best part of the team right now, the offensive line.
Yep. We got Jared Goff. Okay, I think we're completely acceptable. I think we got a good a top third quarterback there. I think we're
Let's
good.
Hope so.
Yep.
Let's hope so.
You got DeAndre Swift, who can catch and run. You have Jamal Williams, who can catch and
run.
Yep. You have Hawkinson, who can catch and block. You have Hill, who can block and maybe catch.
Red zone.
You wind up with Pitts, right? You got Williams, who's I understand that he's a wide receiver 3 to 4, but he's got speed. He can blow the top off, right?
Right, that's what Perriman's good at too.
And Perriman, who I'm not going to say is like a superstar, but all of a sudden you have an offense that deep, middle, shallow, and in the backfield is a threat on every single play. That's a pretty good place to put yourself.
That will, if you put Kyle Pitts on this team, imagine the Packers have a very good cornerback in Jair Alexander. He's 5'10" and 180 pounds. That is 4 to 6 inches and 50 to 70 pounds lighter than the guys he would be guarding for the Lions.
Additionally,
and they're fast
with the speed. There's something that we're not used to that we're going to see, and that's separation, right? And that's what Jared Goff needs. He's used to receivers with separation. I think that's where Kenny Golladay, while a good wide receiver, would have been tough for Jared Goff to throw to.
Oh my God. Pitts made a move in the red zone against Georgia where he just spun a guy like a top, and the guy like it looked like me going downstairs when I'm drunk. It was awful. He has that kind of wicked footwork. If you are limiting your imagination again to him as just being a tight end, even like a Gronk type tight end who's a phenomenal tight end, Tony Gonzalez, he's different than that. You need to view him as an outside wide receiver who happened to play tight end in college, because that's where he's going to be at his best in the NFL. Now, he can go inside. And in that aspect, he reminds me some of Josh Gordon when Josh Gordon was as clean as he could be and had his phenomenal year in Cleveland, where he lined up. At that point, he was weighing about 225 to 230. He could still run the 4.35, but he played out of the slot a lot that year. But he also intermixed and moving outside, would flex out and motion out. Those are the type of things that you can do with Kyle Pitts that you cannot do with other receivers. And defenses will not be able to. If you're a defensive coordinator, would you rather guard him or would you rather guard a 170-pound who he said today he played at 170, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith's a fantastic route runner. He's a great player. I would be perfectly happy to get him at 7. It's a lot easier to defend a guy like that than it is to defend a guy like Kyle Pitts.
Awesome. All right. So where would you put him on your stack of choices at 7? If all the guys were there that you expect to be there, possible at 7. I know you don't think he's going to make it.
No, I don't. I really don't think he's going to make it past 5.
Do you take him above Waddle if you can?
Ooh, that's tough because Waddle's really, really good at what he does. He's got he offers the speed element that directly impacts the defense in a way that Pitt's size does. Mm-hmm. The size speed package. Waddle has that lightning pure speed that changes the defense, the way the defense has to play, the way that Will Fuller did for the Texans. And also Waddle has to catch the ball a lot better than Will Fuller does. So he's really exciting too. I'd be happy with either one of them. I would probably take Waddle first, because I think he fits more into not every offense is going to have the vision needed to maximize Pitts. And I worry about that for him a little bit. I worry that if he goes to a place like Tennessee, well, they have a new defensive or offensive coordinator, so maybe that's going to change. But a team like Kansas City, like Andy Reid, is going to get it. He's going to see, okay, he's Tyreek Hill, but he's like a foot taller.
Right.
So, yeah. I wouldn't worry about that so much, but, more like Lovie Smith. I know Lovie does defense, but if a Lovie Smith coach team would not know what to do with him, and I worry that will be a problem for him. But there's so much to like about Kyle Pitts. He's really, really good. And again, I have my draft stuff coming up. He will be listed as a wide receiver / tight end for me in that order.
Yep.
In every draft thing that I write, because if you're pegging him as a tight end, you're doing a disservice to him and yourself as an evaluator.
There you go. All right, we are going to go a lot deeper into the draft, starting with the next show. What we need from everyone listening right now, though, is make sure that you go out on Twitter, reach out to the Lions, tell them we're going to be at Prime Proper downtown on Thursday. Have them send Dan Campbell. Got
yes. Oh my God.
Yes. We're gonna have Riz, Sandman, Colin, 2 season ticket holders, credentialed media, and The podcast guy, me. All hanging out. I'll buy a steak. We'll get him dinner.
We will certainly treat Coach to whatever he wants. He's welcome to come sit at our table, even if he just wants to come by and slap the table and say, "Hey guys." I don't think he'd do. I think he'd actually probably love to hang out with us, quite honestly.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be great.
The guys we are.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so come on by, Coach. Let's get this done. Let's do it. Make sure you tweet at the Lions. Let them know. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com, Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com, and of course, CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Thank you all. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe on the way out. We're going to close the show out. Remember, don't forget about us on Patreon too. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get access to the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. And it is absolutely that. It's on Slack. Once you join with $1 a month or more, we will give you access immediately, as immediately as we can get there.
It's worth your time and or money.
Absolutely. Great group of folks there. Also, follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, at DET Lions Podcast, and at Jeff Risden. Check it out. Make sure you get him in there as well. And follow us, give us a call on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667. Leave a message. We'll get your message on the air. And go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast so we can do, what do we like to do, Riz?
We'd like to come into your ear holes automatically.
That's right. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs. No problems, baby. Because we're Detroit Lions and Reddit Connection.